just you get to choose. Right? Like here's the scenario. The environment gives us something which can be perceived as negative, can be perceived as not working, can be perceived as problematic. The world's ending. But we get to choose to see it like that, or we get to choose to see it as an opportunity.
So clearly that it's my responsibility now to do that for other people. If I have information and, other people's success is my success and vice versa.
Because you know what? Like, the challenges or the roadblocks are the journey themselves.
There's no big things. It's all little things compounding on top of each other. I don't know. I almost just asked you, hey, what topic haven't we covered yet? That's just silly, right? Because we've covered them all.
All the topics.
All the topics.
In the world.
Ever created that existed. At least the success principles. So we're just looking for a nuanced new conversation about something that we already know about.
What is the overall topics that we do cover? Like what success principles is what we cover. For me, like that's all the principles. Again, why I do what I do is I thought, like, where can I go to a place which is most useful to everything? I was listening to something the other day talking about education and what we should teach children or teach in schools, and their thought was it shouldn't be anything in particular. It should only be to teach people how to learn. And then they can take that and use it for whatever they particularly want to learn. And interesting to me today to think about. I think because that's how I think about what we do. Once you understand those success principles, and you can call them that, or you could like journey of personal development, or like how to be how to be intentional with your life and focus on the most important parts are. I believe once you know that, then you can go anywhere. So today I was working with someone who was like a value add for a client, someone worked for him, and we were just doing some goal setting. And just typical goal setting. I asked him at the end of the year, he gave me 5 things, rattled off 5 things. And 3 of them, no chance of getting those this year. Not because he's not capable, but because they were language and set up in a certain way that weren't even time bound in the way that I'd asked him to time bound it. And so I think those things are so important. Again, it's just giving people the ability to win whatever their chosen field is. I feel like that's what we do.
Yeah. So what comes through for me is clarity, and that's such a big. We've had that a number of times. Clarity is king. Clarity is power, right? Because once we have that, then we're setting our course, our boat for a course of travel, with an actual destination in mind. So we don't just is a whim on a wave, and we'll end up in some random island shipwreck somewhere, and everybody not very happy about that. Whoever's on that ship. I think it's interesting that when we do that exercise and identify those goals, pretty quickly we can identify them with people, with ourselves, right? But for whatever reason, this is why we love coaching so much. People don't do it. They don't think about it. They don't sit down and write it. They don't carve out the time to be strategic about what they actually want. So there's the value right there. And then it's just the articulation or the tweaking or the part that gets people excited about, changing from an original idea of something they think they want to something that they're totally dedicated to getting no matter what. And there's something magical about that process, about that conversation, about that exercise, that I like to think about. I like to wonder about that. I like to wonder what that is.
So if I got it, it's the first part is that it's fascinating. That's why we love what we're doing, because it's easy to see in others, right? And we've done it so many times now. It's even easier for us. But people can do this intuitively anyway. What's the difference between us and someone doing it intuitively? It's like, well, we do it very intentionally and a lot, and we've got some very specific parameters around how we do it to drive results the best, for sure. And so that's what's the fun part. But then you went and say, okay, well, but people don't do it, right? And that's the big key part. It's like people don't do it. They don't do the work, or at least consistency with the work. And it's something that a client just repeated to me that I often say. She said, when we started, you say that we work together every week, that you can have a bad week, you can lose a week. That's all it's going to be. You're not going to wake up and it's going to be 6 months, a year, decade down the line. So we're checking in every week.
Mm.
So people don't want to do work, and not only do they not want to do the work, or they don't want to, they don't, and then they can't see it anyway, so they don't, and they can't see it because they don't because they can't see. But then it's taking that, showing them, going through the work, doing it, and then I think the last part is then moving to something that they get excited about. Is that what you meant? Is that what your intention was there?
Yeah. I wrote down like 5 or 6 things there when you said, why people don't do it, like procrastination, apathy, depression, distraction, laziness. Part of me wants to understand why I can't or don't or haven't done some of those things. And I can get caught up in that, right? I don't think we need to know the explanation for it, but they don't. I wrote that down and underlined it. They don't do it. They just don't do it. So yes, to answer your question, that and I think once you do it, you get to that point. So you can't see or get to that excitement piece right away, which is maybe part of what prevents people from doing it. It's the iterative process that leads to that more exciting end result. But yes, to confirm what your question was, the answer is yes.
It's the same as remind us we got always go through the process. The game is not to go, oh, I know the fun bits at the end, just go to the end. You can get quicker through the process. You can get deeper quicker, but you still need to go through. So here's a visual that just came to me in the last coaching call. So the concept here is the deeper, the more important, or the bigger impact or outcome you're trying to get to, the bigger goal and harvest you're trying to get to, the more important the activity is to get there. Obviously, but there's more of a delay the bigger the output that you want. So if your lead, like things you do every day, are like they take 10 seconds and you need to do 10,000 of them to get your result. You haven't got to do much deep thinking on those leads. You'll discover them pretty quickly, just bang them out, bang, 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 bang. So you can get to doing that work pretty quick. When it's something that you're trying to have a huge impact on, the deep thinking that you need to get to figure out what the activity is or the next step requires a lot more time. So, I thought deep thinking. Think about an ocean. So, like if you're in a submarine, some sort of immersible, you might have to go down like 200 feet just to get to the depth where you can start to do the thinking.
Mm.
But if you're constantly getting pulled back out by distraction or other people taking your time, you're constantly going back into the ocean, back into the ocean. But you might not even get down to the depth that you need to be to even think about the things that are most important because you're just getting pulled out. So it might be that you're in the ocean for a long time, but if you're getting pulled out, it's like, well, you've been in the ocean for 4 hours. It's like, yeah, but I only reached the depth that I need to get to twice, and it was for a total of 3 minutes. I need to get there, and I need to be there for at least an hour and a half to see what the hell was going on, to get the lay of the land. The deep immersive experience of thinking is really important. I often, when I go see my wife's family in DeLand, Florida, I've been there a ton of times, which I've shared with you loads of times. But every time I go there, I'm always asking for how do you get to places. I always end up driving when I'm there. I've been to these places tens of times, but I've never been there longer than like a couple of days at a time. So I've never been there long enough, which like the patterns of where everything goes really fits in. I've got the right geography, just haven't got it. So I just haven't got enough immersive experience to get to the enough like critical mass where I can know where things are. I haven't got enough deep thinking time on it.
And so it's the immersion of it, and if we're not getting to the depth, then we can't immerse ourselves. That makes a lot of sense. That's why like accountability partners or groups are important because you're kind of rigging the game there to be able to get to that immersion. Is it harder to get to the immersion by yourself? Because why? We let ourselves off the hook, distractions. Why? What is that?
So I think the mechanism here is to go. You need to get deep to do deep work, no matter what. The situation, the practice, and the group, so essentially the environment, can help you get deeper quicker and protect you whilst you're on the way down. So by yourself, unpracticed, first time you're doing something, to get to that 200 feet might take you like an hour just to get to the right depth before you can start. But if you practice it, maybe you can get there in 30 minutes. And if you've got a group setting, as you enter the group setting, the parameters of what that group is allows you to get there in 10 minutes. So the time it takes to warm up and start playing, start exploring, is minimized. So that's the immersion part of it. I think that's what you can speed up. The time at that depth, I don't know if you can speed that up or not. Maybe. But the point is, it doesn't matter because we're optimized for getting there. So if you're in a group of people that have the same defined outcome and want to do the same work, which you trust, respect, and can be vulnerable around, then you can essentially get to that place. Like you can be lowering yourself down the ocean, but instead of like looking up and going, "I'm okay," you can't take it down another couple of feet. It's like, I know everyone's got my back.
Makes a lot of sense. So that's just getting down there, and then we could talk about a whole nother conversation about once you're there, how to observe, practice, get deep with the thoughts, so that that's the excitement part, right? That's where it comes in. I think once we get there, then it becomes easier as we go. It's almost like an exponential return, like a J curve. We get there, and then we get to that place of excitement. That's what I want. That's my commitment this week. I'm gonna do that.
All right. So give me the specific takeaway on that, Coach, as it pertains to getting to that excitement J curve.
Yeah. So the one thing I wrote down in the last couple seconds was, you just use this as a hypothetical example, but if you need an hour to get deep, I don't know. A lot of people would probably tell you they don't have an hour. They don't have an hour in their schedule. They can't make the commitment. I'm gonna block off some time to get more significant. I'm not giving myself enough time to get to the depth that I need, and when I get there, I'm pulling it back out too quickly. So it might just be a bigger block of time where I commit to not addressing any distractions, and I do the deep work there and see what happens.
Yeah,
and I will report back.
Love that. I'll hold you to that, Coach. That's it. Like, trust that the outcomes will appear if you stay in the space long enough.
Yes.
Awesome stuff.
All right, Coach. Good stuff. See you next time.
See ya. Thank you for watching another episode of Truth Seekers. We appreciate your interaction. So please comment, like, subscribe to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want more, check out some of our links to our masterclass, The Achiever's Mindset, and come join our LinkedIn group. And what do you want to see more of? Remember, we're here to share the simple secrets of successful. So help us do that. What do you want to see? What do you want to see more of? Thanks, and see you again next time.